Welcome back, guys. Pedal Imua 2025. An amazing day. Just got Kylie there. Got a photo with him. Pretty cool. The Axis crew. Adrian there in the middle. Adrian Robo. Pace. Shannon. Just such a good vibe happening. Everything felt right. No stress. Amazing turnout. It was nearly 150 sub-foilers. Just a real blessing. And the Paddle Imua themselves are fundraising for children in need, special needs. And to hear the stories and what they've been doing and what they pass on is incredible. So I highly recommend, if you can manage it, come out to one of these races to support the foundations. It's not often you have to stand in a queue to launch at Malika. So that was a real buzz. Got Dustin, Casey, Andy there. Andy on the left. Doc Foyle he's just much faster than I am. But I did beat him in Oahu, but I've never passed him on Malika. The meeting ran a bit late, so it was actually a bit of a rush to get out to the start line. Casey there on my left, your right. Loving the new board, 9-1, 17 3/4. Made it to the bumps. Quite a spread out start. Somehow I ended up sitting next to another Kiwi who I didn't know, Charlie. So that was a spot of luck. Now, the Paddle Imua has a pretty tough finish. It comes in at Kanaha, and you're inside the reefs, and there's almost less than neutral energy. I actually probably would have preferred flat water finish, but it was almost like a negative energy finish. So my tactics were to size up my foil to make the finish and sacrifice the actual run. So I put on the Fireball 1250, 64 fuse, 50 skinny, in the hopes of getting to the end without touching down. But not such a fast run on foil. The 1250 is great for recreational purposes, but not so much for racing. So I learned that a bit more. Lots of lessons in these races. Like every race definitely teaches you something. Pretty good bumps this day. Slow start, there's Will. I was calling out to him to watch his feet. Not the fastest start here. Here I'm actually surfing a bump on the board, and I had to wait a moment to hopefully have something form in front, which I think did. No. Moving out. Looks like we're up. Flow there right in front of me, another spot of luck. Just good timing. Flow crushed it. I think she came down once. And then a very quick paddle up to get going. For a lot of this, just riding normally. I would err on pumping forward. So I crested a bump there. Fading right somewhat. Pretty standy. The setup doesn't want to go much faster than that. So I definitely couldn't keep up with the groundswell. The underlying scents that roll through. And actually I found the setup a bit stiff on the 64. For mast height, like pitch stiff. So maybe I would be better off with the 60 fuse than the 64. Not much chance of catching these guys. My hopes are that I will pass them all at the end. So a lot of people end up having to paddle in. It's an upwind finish from the buoy that they've put out at the race finish, and then to finish the race you've got to cross the timing platform, which is up the beach somewhat. But beautiful day, amazing to be in the water with 150 subfoilers. The riding, I can't avoid it. I was overfoiled with the 1250. Willing to bomb pretty much anything, but just couldn't really keep up with it. So finding little pathways through when I can. It made me realise this probably isn't much of an option, this foil, for the M20, unless it's looking pretty light. I just don't think it'll be that enjoyable. And I keep talking to people about what to use on the M20, and talking to Dylan today, who I think is a Kalama ambassador and sponsored by Lift Foils. He uses typically the Lift 150 for the M2M. And he said he'd done the M2O once and never again, sort of thing. So I think I've accepted that, and I think I expect the M2O to actually be quite hard. You can start. I think we're starting off in the bumps, and apparently the start is quite good bumps, but then you get wind shadow from Molokai, and the center of the run can be quite windless, and you've got multi-directional swell. Apparently the big swells are not quite that rideable, and they're going north to south, and I really want to be going east to west, so you have to quarter off the back of the bigger swells, and probably quartering off to the to the right from the bumps that I'll be able to use. So as it stands, M2M is at the end of the week. It's Monday or Tuesday. What day is it? It's Tuesday, I think. Looking forward to the M2M. I think that's going to be quite fun. Use the 1160 most likely, or I'll use one of the new Axis race foils. M2O, I'm definitely leaning towards the 1160 with the 50 skinny to get some bottom end and have some fun surfing. But if it looks light, then I might go the same setup, 1250. But this 1250 was pretty loaded up. We got another contestant there on the right. So anyway, I won't talk about those races. Paddle Imua. A lot of the big names were here, but a bunch of guys from Oahu didn't actually come out. There's Ralph. 2 over to the right. A lot of these guys are on smaller foils, so they're just tracking a bit faster. But I had my plan, and that was to sacrifice a little bit of average pace on the water to survive the finish. Some Axis apparel there, Axis hat. Evan gave me a hat and a couple of shirts, which was really cool. Very generous. Adrian gave me the Axis team top, the red long sleeve, red and white shirt. They've been really welcoming this trip. Have made me feel a part of their team, actually, which is really fun, really cool, and a great resource because I've been able to talk to the Axis pros about gear choice, thoughts on tactics and lines to take, and a couple of standout guys like Luke and Perth, just 2 absolute crushes, and then Kyle, who's maybe the next tier down for speed, but he does big runs and has his own thing going on. So learning from all the Axis guys, which is really cool. The day after this, I caught up with Dave Kalama and did a run with him. So getting to ride with very knowledgeable people. Dave said he's done the M2M about 30 times. So he gave me some good beta on lines and which direction to travel, because the races are quite long and they're inter-island and the conditions change. And there I am talking about the M2M again. So this day, nice bump there. Let's see what happens. I feel like I'm probably going to be able to just run over that. Keeping a good speed. I'm too close to the crest of this one. I don't think I'm going to get over it. It's kind of passed me by. Follow it down. Typical lines. Not surfing at all. Surviving a lot of the riding. I could feel the 1250 loading up and locking in a bit. And like comparative to the 1201, the 1250 is a more dynamic foil. And yet I was still quite overloaded. So this I wish I had gone and used the 1160, and I didn't actually even bring the 1070 Fireball because I have in my quiver one of the Axis race foils, which is a similar size to the 1070, but a much different foil setup. Cresting that one. Trying to film the homies as much as possible. Share the stoke. Beautiful pink shirt. Not sure if it goes with the red Axis, but that's what you get. And I'm wearing my bum bag there, which is what I'm likely to wear for the races. They're the races. This race I wasn't wearing my PFD. I know this run very well and didn't think I needed it. But I have safety gear inside the bum bag. But this looks kind of typical for what I've been riding here in the summer, which has been quite different to the change from the winter to summer. When I was here a few months ago, there was good solid groundswell. I think that's Ralph. I didn't actually notice him when I was riding. And without the winter swells joining in the bumps are pretty mild. And I haven't seen anything that I would turn away from so far in these summer conditions. So that's been quite interesting. It's given me a lot of confidence. It's very much a very civilized, easy to manage ocean state so far with the Hawaiian summer Maliko North Shore. So that's cool. What's my setup? So I've got 1250, 64 fuse, 50 skinny. I've got my 76 mast, slightly longer mast. KT paddle. Got my Zhik tights on there. This is the first day I've worn them and they're actually amazing. Even had a few comments from some people on land. Very aerated tights and quite cooling. So, and they've got a pocket, which is nice. I put my sunglasses in there. I've got a 1.5 litre drink bladder in my pack there. I filled it up for the day and I was just sipping on it before the race, maybe a little bit during the race and at the end of the race. So it's amazing to have your own fluids with you. It's hard if you start feeling a bit maybe not dehydrated, but the mouth gets dry. So having water is really key. And I wanted to practice having the extra weight on me for the paddle up and the riding. And when it comes to the longer races, I'll have my 1.5 litre bladder, which I have there, and then there's 2 outer pockets on either side of that bum bag that can hold drink bottles. And I brought 2 400ml drink bottles for extra hydration for the longer races, longer distances. But I might even buy like a 600ml bottle of Coke for one side and who knows for the other, maybe even a coconut water. Inside the bladder itself, I've got some sports fuel that mixes in, a powder that mixes into the water. And for the 1.5 litres, it'll be 6 scoops, so 600 calories I'll be able to add in, I think, which should help for the longer races that are like 4 hours, 3 hours maybe, hopefully. So that's cool. And the board is playing its part for that too. So I sized up the board. I went for 123 litres, whereas my normal riding volume is around 110. And it just handles the extra weight that I'm carrying. So thank you, Frank, for a very lovely board. Definitely happy to use this board for longer distances. Couple of wings or kites or even windsurfers up front. Definitely riding my own little segment here. Feeling a bit slow, feeling like I'm falling back from these bumps, whereas if I'd sized down to the 1160, I would have been matching these a lot more. And I find the 1160 even just being one step down quite a lot more maneuverable. Got a timing ankle bracelet on my right leg. I tried wearing the sunnies, and for the race I just took the sacrifice and went without sunnies on. And then I did a second run after this with a new prototype foil actually, which was really fun. And I filmed that run today actually, so I'll be able to talk about that a little bit. Beautiful foil. But the second run, it was actually it was late in the day. I think we set off at around 4:30 or even 5 p.m. And I was more confident to wear the sunglasses because I didn't have race mentality. But it was just a little bit too dark. So I haven't truly tried these sunnies yet. Last time I was here, Kane gave me some beta for wearing sunglasses, that he said buy sunglasses that don't have the frame around them. And if you can, try and find a flat lens, and that'll be your best bet to not have distortion out there. Getting used to this angle on the KT paddle without the extension. It's probably not quite as good for getting a read on where I'm going, but as the PPC extendable. But I think it's good enough, and I'm really happy using this paddle. So I think it's a worthy sacrifice to lose maybe 10%, maybe 20% filming quality for framing and whatnot. One thing that is kind of driving me nuts is the dive case for the GoPro, and it's distorting a lot of the sound, makes it feel very boxy, and I wrapped the camera on this one in some tissue paper to try and stop the camera clashing on the dive case, which is causing a lot of these bump sounds, a bit of grinding and noise. So it's helped somewhat, but there's just no clarity there for me to talk to the camera, so I'm not even bothering, essentially. So something I need to work on. Maybe I'll drop the case as the camera gets a bit older and just work with what I've got at that stage. The reason for the dive case is it protects the camera, keeps the lens dry. It seems to have stopped any fogging, any moisture getting into the camera itself. Pretty quick there. Bit of a surge, 29. Good bump there. A little bit flat still. I think if my goal wasn't to be going straight, and I do have that in mind, and I'm trying to keep my velocity made good happening. If I wasn't just going straight, I would have been able to surf and ride a bit slower and perform some turns. But because I'm typically here now dropping into any downhill that I can see or have access to, I'm forcing this foil into speeds. It's just not that great for my weight. Actually, I will have to edit in the speeds for this run. I just realised I've forgotten to do that. So I'll do that after this voiceover. I heard that guy. Okay. I'll have to go back. I hope that wasn't Charlie. The big F-bomb. I had heard 2 solid F-bombs of people going down around me. And it could be my fault. It could be because I'm pointing the camera at them, and some people just get a little bit camera shy or camera shocked. I find that some people just start fumbling when they're getting filmed. But got my Garmin watch on there as well. I've been using that with the water speed app on it. So I'm getting my heart rate, getting daily suggestions for my fitness and tracking. So it's kind of fun. I am listening to it somewhat, but also it's not completely accurate, and some days it misses a little bit of information and it might freak out and think I haven't rested enough or I've overworked. But using it as a tool for a loose guide. And colour change there, so it's getting shallower. I'm on top of one of the reefs. In winter, I would be nervous and looking out to sea to see if there are any swells coming, because they would be breaking around this section. But with the summer, there's not so many ground swells and less potential for getting caught inside. I was kind of happy to come into this inside section because the water typically slows up as it gets shallower and the bumps, and I thought maybe that would fit my foil. But truly, I'm feeling like the current is going with me here, and it's definitely not steep. And I could have used a bit more energy. So moments like that looked like I was slogging a little bit, but looking at the speed, I'm actually moving pretty quick. But there were sections here where I was using this foil, and people would have been saying it was too big, and some people literally said that on land before I took off. And they're right in part. Of course, I've sized up for the last section, but I can feel with this bigger foil that there's just drag on it, and it can actually take a fair bit of energy to try and bring it back up to speed, build mast height. The pumping is quite weighted and requires strength, and it's not even so much taps, because the tap on this bigger loaded foil doesn't seem to make it do a whole lot, and so that input requires more strength, and it probably is fatiguing. But on the flip side, it will allow me to go slow and dig out with hopefully less effort, especially if I had the 60 fuse. But yeah, I'm kind of, in hindsight, a bit sad that I sacrificed the riding on the run, preparing for the end. But I hadn't done that finish before, so it was all new, and it was what it was, and I made the decisions that I thought would be correct, and in hindsight I would have sized down one size. So here a faster foil would have made that, catching that ground swell there, it just passed, it's about 3 meters in front of me there. I probably could have caught that, but with the bigger, slower foil, it leaves me in spots where I'm trying to pump down or like try to match pace and then drop in to these bigger swells, and it requires quite a lot of energy to actually try and bring this foil up to that sort of speed, and so it is quite a bit more fatiguing in that sense. So not knowing where I'm going, I'm hoping to see other people and follow them. And I was talking to Frank about it, and he was telling me about a channel that most people will probably use to get in through the reef. So I've got a lot of that on my mind. Sticking reasonably close to land here so I can see the destination. Whereas if I was heading to the harbour, I would be a bit deeper and out to the right. But otherwise, actually something that crossed my mind on this run was riding the foil a bit deeper, a bit lower on the mast, for those moments where, well, first of all, when I ride this foil in these more powered up conditions, it feels quite tippy, because the foil's getting forces on it that are translating through the mast to me, through the board to me. As that foil loads up and it gets a bit pushed around. And if I'm high in the water column, it seems like there's even more force on that system, and there's less water holding it steady when you're riding high. So my thinking was that if I start bombing, I can actually ride low, and yes, it's a bit more inefficient, but that water running across both sides of the mast are going to make it feel a bit more locked in, a bit more stable, a little bit less wobble. I couldn't help but remember Scott Keon's words when we were in Perth, him and John, who have spent some time with James Casey, and he was talking about these bigger foils feeling like you're standing on a beach ball or a medicine ball. And I definitely had that sensation out here on this run, where there's just so much load and everything's there's a little bit of movement. And don't get me wrong, Axis is, I don't know many other brands that are as stiff as the Axis setup. So it's not a gear failure as far as the gear itself. It's the fact that I've sized it up and it's bigger gear. It's not a failure in the gear, it's a failure in the gear choice. But it was getting a bit messy by this stage. The reefs have bommies on them and different knobs and valleys, and the water starts bending and reacting to it all and getting a bit disturbed, and it was getting a little bit crossed up. Bit of a wave there of the right shoulder. Which was what I was trying to combat with the bigger foil, and I believe I did. But also it's almost a self-defeating choice, because the bigger foil is going to get more affected by these swells and whatnot.
I'm following you, Ralph.
There's Ralph coming in. So I must have just cut around uppers there, actually. I remember it looking a lot more wavy, but maybe I just missed it doing this voiceover. And I fell. My memory from the race was actually that I came down because it was hard to pump. But I came down there because I fell. But we've got some waves in the water and variation in height. So I'll paddle up again. So from here I'm waiting. I don't really have the power to just paddle up without a bump assist, so I'm probably waiting for something that feels catchable. And I was riding quite conservatively during the race and saving my legs for the pump-in. So I've probably got quite a bit left. But in saying all of that, I had a virus the 3 days prior to this, in which I didn't go in the water, and it sapped a lot of my energy. As soon as my heart rate picked up, I just was exhausted. I'm really digging deep here, trying to make all this happen. Back up on foil. But I can feel that the water feels very soft, and I think that the current is going with the wind, and you're just not getting as much water running across your foil front on. It's, you're traveling with the water, and it feels like there's no lift. Paddle pumping, trying to survive, just hoping for some variation, some bumps. And I've come down again. Yeah, I removed 5 minutes odd of paddling there, maybe, for this. I got up again. So I paddled up twice again at the end. Basically, my tactics have failed. So I put on the 1250, which is an 1133 centimeter square foil. I'm hoping to be able to foil in all the way, and it just didn't work. And so I was slow and steady on the outside, and I was just slow on the inside as well. It gave me no advantage sizing up. I would have been much better choosing a smaller foil. So I got some people taking care of my gear there. Thank you for looking after my paddle and board, people. Ran up the beach. We'll cut to a scene from somebody else's footage here. I arrived at the end with Marina, and we battled it to paddle in, and then we battled it up the beach. So there's Marina in the middle, and that's me on the left. And we'd already been pushing quite hard to get in at this point. I'm taking my waist leash off there. Marina's just dived in head first. Marina's got some supporters, which makes sense because she's a beautiful person. I drop my paddle and watch this. I actually sprint past Marina for the finish. She sees it. She can't believe it. But we joined forces and we crossed the line with an identical finish time, which was amazing. Well done, Marina. You haven't beaten me yet. It was literally a tie today. I rode with Marina on the biggest Maliko run I did when I was here last. She is an absolute boss. But look at this turnout. I'm trying to find somewhere to put my board. Started gravitating towards this area a bit. James Casey there, caught up with John Mann, Dave West, Perth Stanley. Tibby, I don't really know, only from online. That guy looks familiar. I'm not sure what his Instagram is. So this is one of the outer boundaries of wherever everyone was. There's a lot of people here.
I was following you in the end, and I got a bit lost.
I was following that.
Well, yeah, we have some fun battles with different people, and then once I touched down, I was like, were you on that 860? Yeah.
He's running the
I sized up
code.
big time. I went like an 1130 centimeter. Okay. And I still couldn't make the end. So. You probably touched down right where I did. Maybe, yeah. And then I was still super slow on the bump, so it wasn't worth sizing up. Yeah. Oh, live and learn.
Sob story. There's Charlie walking past with his access board.
Yeah, I overtook Ralph at the end. I felt bad because he was prone paddling and I was up to my feet.
You guys came in before me.
Oh really?
Yeah, because I saw you guys. I was already touched down and came in a little bit inside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you guys got me.
I thought you were going on the inside of uppers.
Yeah.
Did you go on the inside?
I did.
Okay, because I ended up going on the outside last second. I was like, oh no, I'll go around and then.
That was a better line.
Was it?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. I'm going. I'm trying. I just followed the most of it. I was like,
Oh, done with that? Tough. Super tough.
Lovely, Olivia.
I sized up for the end and it still didn't work.
Oh yeah?
So I was just slow on the outside and slow on the inside. How'd you do it?
Yeah, I was expecting it before, yeah.
Olivia got third in the women's.
But yeah.
Yep, better luck next time. Learn my first one, so be good.
Well, thanks for watching. And if you've watched this far, stick around for a few more minutes, see the crew. A lot of familiar faces, a lot of unfamiliar faces, which is incredible. Just a bunch of people crushing it out there. It's the finishing tent at the finishing line. There's all the timers, the ankle timers on the ground. Beautiful stretch of beach, Kanaha. Winger's paradise. Para Winger's paradise. Windsurfing. Sup surfing. Plenty of shade, plenty of established trees, good car parking, showers. Just amazing. It's the goodies bag tent. Join the queue for your merch bag. Get your t-shirt as well. Ralph, Andy and Casey. Just stoked. Everyone's stoked. Everyone's just perfect. An amazing day. An amazing life. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Imua, for putting this on for us. And thank you for what you do, bringing joy to the people that really deserve it. Be good, guys. See you around. Bye. Mahalo.